In this episode of Crystal Uncorked, I am sitting down and having an open and honest conversation with my friend Jennifer Conn. I am so excited for you to listen to this episode, and I ask you to have a little bit of an open mind, use your curiosity as you listen to this episode because we're going a little woo. Okay. I personally love the woo space, the hippie, astrology, psychic, energy, manifesting, all that stuff. I love all that stuff. And we're talking a lot about that today. But you know what I love about this conversation is so many times it kept coming back to trusting yourself. There are so many tools that we have within inside of ourselves that we don't always know that are there. And Jennifer is going to talk about, really finding and trusting those tools within ourselves and just being comfortable with moving forward with that. She's got so many great resources, amazing books that I say on the podcast. I wish I could just take 2 weeks off and just snuggle up with all these books because they sound incredible, especially because I'm so into this space. But I have to tell you, you don't have to be that into woo and astrology and chakras and energy and healing to find value in this episode. I know that you're going to get a lot out of it. And I think that there's some really great questions that we all can be asking ourselves to learn more about ourselves. So you're going to learn a lot from Jennifer. She has the medium experience. She created this business after a series of events, which you'll learn on this episode, that led her to where she is today. And she started this business a year ago, basically a year ago. You want to check out her Instagram account. It's the Medium Experience. And I say that because she does champagne channeling on Fridays at 3:33 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I've caught some of the replays. They're really cool. If you can watch them live, that's awesome. But check out the replays. And she's just got a lot of great content on her Instagram. She has retreats. She does mediumship and clarity reading. She's a spiritual educator and host and mentor. She just also recently launched the Medium Experience podcast, which you're going to want to check out on all podcasts, of the podcast players that you listen to. So let's dive in. This is heartfelt, love, love, love. This can help you in your business, in just your personal life, and just help you get more connected to you. So let's dive in. Are you ready to open up and talk about all things business? I'm Crystal Vilkaitis, a curious entrepreneur who loves talking about business, especially over a glass of wine. I started Crystal Uncorked to share open and honest conversations about my journey and talk to other entrepreneurs about their experiences. We pull back the curtain and talk about the highs and the lows. Wine isn't required, but is recommended. This is Crystal Uncorked. Jennifer, welcome to Crystal Uncorked. I'm thrilled you're here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we are going to have a great open and honest conversation about business over drinks. I've got to know, what are you drinking?
Well, you know me quite well, so I think you've gathered, but I have poured some champagne, some true champagne from France.
Love it. Love it. And you know what? I opened a bottle of Evolve. I have to tell this story really fast because this is such a cool, coincidental, meant to be story. I was at Jennifer's house last month and we met locally. She's actually here in Northern Colorado, and we met through a networking group called The Socialites. And she reached out and was like, "Do you want to come over?" And I'm like, "Heck yes." And I came over to her beautiful home. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, your home is stunning, amazing interior design. I loved it there. And we're drinking some champagne and we go up and I get to see her office, which is also gorgeous. And she's talking about this retreat that she is planning, which I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that. And we're talking about vineyards in Colorado. And I'm like, have you heard of, her friend owns this vineyard where she's having this retreat. And I'm listening about it and it's making me think. And I'm like, have you heard of this wine called Evolve? And she's like, Yeah, that's the vineyard. Those are my friends. And I'm like, I'm hosting a conference called Evolve. I just found that wine Evolve. I want to serve it. And my mind was like blown. Oh my gosh, we were so excited. And she had a bottle there, so I got to try it. Recently met the wine maker and the vineyard owner because of Jennifer. And then they're going to be on the show. So it was so cool. Like,
It was pretty magical. It was, I don't know, it was very serendipitous, along with many other things that evening.
oh my gosh, totally. It was just such a nice evening. You know, those evenings, I'm sure people are listening where it's like you meet somebody, it's a brand new person, and you sit down and you start talking and you're just like, I feel like we could be here forever. Like it's just the conversation is flowing. There's so much to talk about. And that's why I'm really excited to have you on the show because we can carry that through a little bit here. But I don't have Evolve. My whole like build up to Evolve, I actually don't have a bottle open. I just drank it on my last episode. But I have Burtec today, which I am a member of, a big fan of Burtec, and it's a petite Syrah, and it is a very complex, bold, beautiful wine. So, Jennifer, cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm very excited you are here, and let's dive in. So, share with me and my listeners how you started your business, The Medium Experience.
How I started my business. Let's see. Well, I've always been an empath. I knew that. I'm very sensitive. I now know I was always psychic, but I didn't really know I was psychic. I just thought I was kind of witty and funny and seemed to be spot on. I could read people. And then in 2020, some life happened, and I was really invited to look deeper into myself, into the spirit world. And I actually read, I have it right here, Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson. This book is amazing. And this really kind of launched me into my mediumship awareness. And so I started to take some classes, and then everything just kind of dominoed really quickly. And I knew that I wanted, I was in between careers. So I was a hairstylist for 10 years. I dabbled in some interior design, as you mentioned, through the house like that. I fell in love with architecture and just a lot of trim work and details that make a room beautiful before you put anything in it. So I did that for a short time. I also ran a golf business for about 7 years, which is, I've done a lot of things. And this, when I really dove into it, I was like, this is what I meant to do. This is my calling. This is my Dharma. This is, it's every ounce of my being wanted to lean into this full-heartedly. And so I decided to do a lot of practice readings, and my passion was educating people about spirituality and leaning into the spirit within. I mean, mediumship can kind of scare people, like, oh, you talk to dead people, which is, it was one of my pet peeves, and now I just understand it's something that people say. But it's like, no, I don't really like talk to them like we talk. We have a body, we have a voice box, so we talk. But it's so much more than that. And then I realized how much, or how all of us have this ability, and that we aren't taught that or have an awareness around it. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to create a business. And I wanted to name it The Medium Experience because it's about my experience going through all of this. And I'm very candid with it. And I make it digestible, and I help people learn about the spirit within, about the spirit world, about how the human body responds to being here. The spirit responds to being in the human body. And it just happened like really fast. And so here I am.
So was it a combination of just things that were happening that were just kind of like snowballing into this new career path for you? Or was it through that book? Or was there a moment where you're like, this is it for me? Or was it a combination of several things?
I'm going to say it's a combination. So I know that there's like those romantic stories of like, this is when it was. And I really do believe sometimes those are just really good storytellers that attach a lot more weight to something than there actually was in that moment for them. And I've been through, let's say, a lot of adversities in my life. And there was definitely moments of awareness But it wasn't until they kind of kept adding up and kept adding up and kept adding up. And then when I looked back and was like, holy crap, I've come so far, and I've had intuition and these nudges and this kind of inner knowing all along. It's just, I was so scared to listen to myself. I had low self-esteem, low self-confidence, and I didn't have the support system that probably would have been conducive to help me step into that truth earlier on. But to make it a little bit more simplistic, when my grandfather passed away, I felt like he was closer to me than he had ever been before. And then in 2020, my son, his senior year, lost his best friend to cancer. And again, I felt an immense closeness to him. And there was just some things that started to happen to lead me to believe that there has to be something going on here, and I'd like to figure it out. And I did.
Yeah. Oh, wow. How was there any, I mean, I'm sure there was, and even just based off of what you just said, to like fully move into this and create a business and have this be your next chapter. Did you experience any kind of fears in like moving fully into that and doing something that's totally different than what you were doing before?
100% yes. And Crystal, I still have fear. Like, I still know that I have dear friends and family that are not supportive. And the thing about this work and going inward, and, I have a huge passion, as you know, for psychology, which really supports this journey, because I think psychology is about our humanness. And then, the spirituality is about our spirit, and they need to work together. And I invite people to do the work. So going back to inner child work, and when you openly talk about these things, you can offend your family, and then you shift and you grow and you change, and you lose people sometimes that mean so much to you, but it's not an energetic match anymore. And so spirit is all about energy and about a frequency. And as you do the work and you really kind of take radical responsibility for where you are in the here and now, it's terrifying because you lose relationships. You have people that judge you. You have skeptics out there, and you always have to pick you, and you have to be 100% willing to step into your journey, your truth, your soul's mission. And it's sometimes a very lonely path, but I do think that if you're called to do it, you're a leader. And when you're a leader, sometimes it is lonely.
Well said. And you have to pick you. Like, I love that you said that, because I think I struggle with this, and I talk about it on the show, of fear of what other people think. And I had a lot of fear just starting this podcast, because I was like, oh, what are people going to think? What, she wants to drink wine and talk about business, but she's the social media girl. Like, and I built up all these stories in my head, and sure, there might be some people who do feel that way of like, oh, she's doing something different now, and eye roll or whatever. But when you have that pull just to do something, you have to listen to it, and you have to choose you. And sometimes that's really hard when you don't have the support. Thankfully, I had a lot of support, but finding that trust and doing it anyways, no matter what people think and say, it's very inspiring. And I'm just so proud of you. I know I barely know you, like we just have met, but I am really proud of you, and it is so inspiring. And so nice work, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah. Our souls know each other. We learned that first night. We're like, oh my gosh, like so much in common, finishing each other's sentences. I mean, 3 hours or whatever it was went by like 10 minutes, and we're like, this sucks.
It was insane. I'm like, what? I have to go home now? Like, it's dark now? How is this happening? It was so crazy. Now, if you could do it all over again, now you're about a year into your business, right?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A little, okay. It's about, a little over a year.
Okay. So reflecting back on this year, if you were starting today, is there one thing that you would do differently?
I think it just all comes down to trust in yourself, trust in spirit. I would get like nervous sick before readings. I do clarity readings, and clarity readings are dominant on the psychic, and I hit those out of the park. Like, I am so good at those, and I don't have much fear. But when it comes to mediumship reading, it's, someone else is involved. And usually there's grief. And so those really terrified me at the beginning. And so my stomach would be in knots. Like, I would just really be scared, but I was scared to disappoint the sitter. And so, I think that I needed to realize like spirit is not going to let me down if I'm wholeheartedly in this. Like if my intention is to 100% be of service, they're always going to show up. And if they don't show up, it's not the right time. And it's, everything is conducive for the sitter's highest good and their potential growth. And so some things, if that sets them back, they're not going to come through. But I have to be a surrender and be a conduit. I've never had this happen, but I've always said, like, if something doesn't come through, I'm not going to waste your time or bullshit you. Like, I will refund your money immediately and we'll get off the call. That hasn't happened, but that's kind of the parameters I work on. So to answer your question, I would really we have to trust ourselves and we have to trust spirit. We have to trust that there really is a universe that has our back. And the only thing in our way is our belief systems, our doubt, our fear, our past, and all of that. To be able to push that aside, so much harder said than done. And I still am working through some of that. Like I could take that advice today.
Yeah. See, well, I mean, same, right? Like that's why we do this too, because it's so nice to reflect. And also through these conversations, I always am like hearing things I needed to hear. And but man, trust is like the key word here, and trusting ourselves. Now, switching gears a little bit, what do you do? I'm sure you have felt this, like as I talk about this a lot too on the show, just entrepreneurs, you're always on, like you're always thinking about your business and, serving your clients and thinking about a reading that you had last night or preparing for the one that's coming up and marketing your business and doing social media. And I know you're launching your podcast, you're learning, like we're always learning. If you're like me, I am always learning. So how do you recharge your batteries? Because we got to, right?
Yeah.
Like we have to fill our cup up to be there for ourselves and the people in our lives and our clients. So what do you do to recharge?
I love that you're asking me this because I think it's like spirit moving through you to be like, you haven't been doing your work, because I really have been in like bulldozing mode with my goals. I've been really hard on myself with certain expectations. I do serve all the time. And like, I have a lot of people that are constantly in my inbox because I build relationships. And sometimes people are like, I don't want a reading, but I'm going to ask her a quick question. And I need to work on some boundaries around that. But I'm pouring myself into my clients and pretty much anyone that reaches out to me, because just a little bit of love and a little bit of light pushed towards them or awareness or awakening could change the trajectory of their lives. And so I'm always available. And lately I have been like, oh my gosh, like this Memorial Day weekend, I'm like, I kept drawing the card quiet time for my readings. And I'm like, I think we all just need to be quiet and rest. And so I am a Cancer and I have a Pisces moon. So I am water. And so water for all of us. I mean, we all need that as far as a grounding point, but I typically am like a bath girl every day, and I have not been doing that. So baths, Epsom salt baths are my number one release. But when I really want to take care of myself and cleanse my whole body, it's just diet. I mean, it really is moving the body, moving the energy, being in water, getting grounded, being really aware of what you put into your body. Artificial sugars and all of that crap is the biggest block to having a communication with spirit, because your body's working so hard in like fighting off and processing stuff that's not good, that's not real for us. So I think it just all around health, just making those conscious decisions, and it's hard, it's hard. Like I have me champagne channeling. So I really love champagne, and I've incorporated it into my business and talk about fear. I mean, there's so many like old school mediums and psychics that, it just goes on. And I had to kind of push that fear away and think, no, I want to do champagne channeling. Like I want people to think that connecting to spirit and being spiritual isn't about like hugging a tree and being barefoot in the woods and being friends with the animals, even though I kind of have an obsession with Snow White. We'll talk about that another time. But it could be luxurious too. And that's what I love, is to bring the human experience and the medium experience together.
Yes. Well, and you know what I love about that too is it is like you've kind of found your slice of what that looks like, of a big industry, and you're staying true to you and how you want to do things versus doing things how other people expect you to, or what the industry has done so far. And we talked about this in an earlier episode of season 2. I had Una Duncan on, was one of my guests, and she's a fitness expert. And, you know, in a sea of fitness experts, why choose this one person? And she talks about how people connect with certain people,
Yes.
right? And so you can't not get out there. If you want to go and do something and you're being pulled and you have this desire, you've got to go and do it. And the people that connect with you and align with you will find you, and they'll be able to hear your message and what you have for them way easier, and really be able to hear it because of that connection where they couldn't with somebody else. And so we do such a disservice by not getting out there, not being seen, and not showing up for these people, and not being our authentic self, because then we're not serving the people that we deeply can serve. And so I just love that you are authentic to who you are. And also just going back to like the, kind of recharging. You mentioned just even like the everyday kind of moving your body or taking a bath. Like, I want people to think about little things you can do each day to recharge, because it doesn't have to be like I'm taking, 2 weeks off and I'm unplugging and I'm going to Maui and, that's it. Like, because that's hard for a lot of people to do. It can be those little things. And for me, it's like my daily walk. I almost didn't go this morning, and I'm like, I'm gonna need the walk. Go for the walk, and you come back, and it's just, I feel ready for the day. So those are great.
It's an investment. So like you have to invest in your communication with yourself. And I say spirit, but really like you have to get really dialed into this and know what's going on here to ever be able to have accurate information about anybody else. And if you go on a 2-week sabbatical and you do this whole thing, you're conditioning your body to be healthy and spiritual when you're away. And we want to be healthy and spiritual today, like in our lives. And so this a little amount each day, journaling practice is super important for me. I had a very hard time meditating because I did have an active mind. And it's because my spiritual dials, like my psychic and my, everything was turned way too up. And I think that's a lot of people right now. And so this shows up as an anxiety, overload, depression, anything that the body is doing that isn't healthy, it's because of some other reason, and energy is the culprit. It really is. And so we got to figure out, where are we not taking care of ourselves? Women especially, but men too. Where do we not have a voice? And so like this, you doing a podcast, anyone that has throat chakra stuff, a podcast is going to be the scariest thing for them possibly to do, because they're going to criticize everything that comes out of their mouth because their throat chakra has been closed for so long. And so journaling was my kind of gateway to open up my throat chakra. And it goes back to inner child work and, shifting the narrative. We have our stories and we have our truth. Our truth is ours, but our stories, all the people that, raised us, parents, teachers, what was going on in the world, they helped with that narrative, and we claimed it as our story because it's all we ever heard. And so we have to go back and we have to really feel into, why do I believe this? Why do I think this? Why do I feel this way when this happens? And then anchor into our truth and start to rewrite the story in a sense. And journaling is probably the best modality I have in my life. And that gets me right back to myself because it's a conversation with me.
Oh, I love that. Do you have a certain journaling practice that like you do every morning, like certain questions or what, or is it just free flow? Like every morning is a little different.
I love that you asked that, because a lot of people are not scared of journaling, but they sit down and they're like what do I do?
I write?
Yeah. And I get that. And then a lot of people have fear. I mean, my mom went through back then it was notes. Remember the little notes you'd pass each other? We didn't have phones or anything. Or I think I got a pager in high school, like the doctors wear.
Totally.
But, that was very violating. And I know that she probably as a parent was just trying to figure out what was going on, but it tells the message that it's not safe to write. And so to get past that, we really just need to write more. We need to write about everything. And so I started with doing in my computer a file called Dear, and I would write people letters. And it would just be anything and everything I wanted to say, whether I was sad or angry or whatever it is. Gabby Bernstein says rage on the page. And that's when you're like angry. It's just like get it all out. If you burn it or throw it away later, fine. My practice is across the board. So I am really in love with the moon. So I feel like, and I'm ruled by the moon being Cancer, I feel like astrology is very impactful to my body. And so I usually kind of am like, what's going on? And then I talk about that in my journal. I ask myself a lot of questions, and sometimes I don't even get to the answers. I'll just start writing questions, because it's not about the answers. It's about giving yourself permission that you don't know it all. And then you're inviting the answers to come in when they may. I will write letters to my guides. I will write letters to my future self. I will download information, like a message that my inner child has to tell me. So it depends on where I'm at. But it usually isn't like, today I went to the grocery store. Like, it's not a narrative of like my day's activities. It's all about opening up wounds, expressing emotion, asking questions about why somebody may have treated me that way, and then why am I attracting that? What is there to learn?
Mm-hmm. So good. I needed to hear that because the past couple of weeks, like I sit there with every morning. I love my morning routine. I get up early, I drink my lemon water, I have my coffee, I sit on my sofa with my music, and I look out. And lately, like for the past 2 or 3 weeks, I just don't feel the words are not coming, nothing's flowing, and I don't know how to like almost get started. I need kind of starters.
Yes.
So I got so much from what you even just said. I'm like, that's a good question. That's a good question. I need just to get it going, because I know once it gets going, it will flow.
And then oracle cards. Like, that's a really good one. I mean, I encourage people not to do one a day because I think it can be overwhelming, and then you don't trust spirit because you're like, like it depends on what oracle cards you have, but some of them are all positive. And so then you're like, I would say one a week to start out, but like you can write every day for a week on one message. Cause if the message is coming through, it's probably pretty deep, and it's not like a Tuesday, it's going to be healed and over with,
Yeah, exactly. Do you, I know there are so many kinds of oracle cards out there, but do you have like one or two types of sets that you would recommend?
Doreen Virtue she has some of my favorites. I have her goddess cards, and I've had them for like maybe more than 15 years. And so a deck takes a while. Well, I shouldn't say this. A deck used to take a while for me to acclimate to. And now I don't even do the book. I just I have my own language with these cards, and sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. It's not like I do all my readings through cards, but, I did just get the Woodland Wardens, and I forget her name, but the Woodland Wardens, and it's a gorgeous, like, foresty animal deck, and I got so in tune with that deck so fast. And the funny story is I had just got out of a massage, and, you can't even, walk in your flip-flops, you're slipping, you have blinds on your face, you don't go anywhere after a massage, at least I don't. And I was, called to go into Barnes & Noble, and when I say called, it's it feels like a thought, it's like now I'm just so familiar with how my intuition communicates to me, and it's like going to Barnes & Noble, and I was like, I don't need anything from Barnes & Noble, and then you just feel this okay, I'm not going to argue. So I walk in, I walk right to the cards, and there's this one Woodland Wardens deck. It's so beautiful, and I buy it. And then I go home and I look through it, and I'm like, these are just magical. So I look her up on Instagram, and that day was her launch day. And she went into Barnes & Noble that day, and there was one deck, and I was called to go in and buy it. And so it's stuff like that. I'm like, there's just, if you let it be easy, it will be easy. And anything that happens wrong, I just talked about this on my champagne channeling on Instagram. When you want to say why, say thank you. Because it's all about trust that somebody knows more than you. Trust the universe and your spirit team knows more than you. Mercedes came out with a commercial in 2013 and it was the best or nothing. And I swear to you, I was like, that is my life. I will live my life that way. And I did. And I wanted the best or nothing. And I was very patient. And I was patient on a lot of things. And then when I started to work with spirit every day, they're like, it's the best or better. Because nothing is not an option. So why wouldn't you just say you with your mind where it is now, say the best, and then allow yourself for spirit to show up and give you better. So if anything isn't happening the way that you want, but you're doing your work, you're journaling, and you have these intentions for your life and these goals and these dreams, that is because you do not know the path, the easiest path, the best path, the most beautiful path. So lean in, trust a little.
Wow. You just said so many beautiful things just now where I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Like I am so going to be listening to this episode again. Oh my gosh. And I wrote this one down because I was like, I need to hear this. If you let it be easy, it will be easy.
Yeah.
That is insane. Like I have to, and we have to let it be easy. It's really hard to make, or it's really easy to make things hard too. But like, just let it be easy and it will be easy. So good. So good. Okay. So books, Barnes and Noble, we're kind of on this topic here. I know that you read a lot and I love knowing, and I don't know if you listen to any podcasts too, whatever you feel like sharing. Is there a book or podcast that you've read recently or your like go-to staple that you would recommend?
Well, if you are a beginner to this work and you're like curious and, at this point, I really do feel like the like universal vibration has everybody, and this just could be because I'm around it every day, but there's more and more people being like, I'm curious, Yep. And I kind of put energetic boundaries around myself because I am not the one that wants to prove skeptics wrong. Like I do not like conflict. I do not like any of that. And so if you are drawn to me, it's probably because you're an empath, you are curious about spirituality, or you're ready to take radical responsibility and live a beautiful life, because that's what I'm about. And so there are people that aren't really drawn to me because of whatever reason. But if you are, then I definitely think there's a couple. How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole LaPera. She is phenomenal. Like absolutely phenomenal. She's a psychologist, but she's very spiritual as well. And she does all these funny videos on her Instagram to just teach us about the nervous system and how our nervous systems are so dysregulated right now and have been. But her book is a really, really, really great way to just connecting back with your body. And you can't connect to spirit if you're not connected to yourself, because you are spirit. And so I would love to teach you how to fish. I'll give you a fish. You can pay for a reading. That's exciting. You get something, I get something, whatever. I'm not discrediting my own work, but my heart is for you to be able to learn how to fish and know that you have everything that I do. And that's what I would like to teach you. And this book will help you get back home to yourself. This is another like fun read. It's called Discovering Your Dharma. Sarah Rose. This is I think it just brings you back to your heart. Like what lights you up? Where is your energy the best? And I just really love, she's just a beautiful young girl. Actually, we're probably the same age, but she just has this beautiful young spirit that I just feel like she's a young girl. She's just really dialed into that inner child. And then she also loves to dance and like twerks, and she's just hilarious. She owns herself and who she is. Awesome. And this is for, I just have to tell you because I feel like this is just a really important book. It's called Discovering the Inner Mother, and it's about the mother wound. And so women are very afraid to step into their truth, their identity, their intuition, all their inner knowing. I mean, that's what this is. Like your intuition is energy into you, for you. And if you deny that, then you're not going to tap into your other gifts fully and know how to manage them. Like, it starts with listening to your intuition. And then all of a sudden your third eye opens, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like now I know more about other people. And you always have, you just haven't known where to place it or how to categorize it or how to use it to your benefit. But it starts with women, the mother wound. I mean, the knowledge needs to be spread because women really need to take back their power and confidently step into their truths. And it's some work we all need to do.
Right. Okay. I wish I could just take the next 2 weeks off and just like snuggle up with all those books and take Epsom salt baths and do my oracle cards. Like that sounds like such a dreamy couple of weeks. Like I can't wait to read every single one of these books. That's so awesome. And that first one that
share, or just really quick, don't think you have to read them quickly. Like if you read a chapter and you need to shed it for a while and you need a journal and you need to integrate, do that. Because if you're flying through these types of books and not integrating what is being presented to you, because there are questions, I mean, they invite you to go deep, then you're just another knowledge broker. You know what I mean? Like you have content in your mind and you can talk the talk. And I'm sure you know, Crystal, because you have a podcast and where you're just always, we don't want to talk the talk. We want to embody the work. We want to be the energy healed of all the things that we've like suffered from in our lives. And so if chapter 1 takes you a year, but you embody it, so much better than flying through the book.
I'm so glad that you said that. That is so like, I needed to hear that. I'm sure somebody else out there needed to, because sometimes you feel like just get through it and then go to the next and I'm learning. But like, are you integrating it? That's the key, right? Oh,
it's the masculine. The masculine wants to check the boxes. The masculine wants to get more I never will discredit the whole patriarchy. We talked about this that night, the patriarchy, matriarchy swing. Like, we don't heal the patriarchy by attacking the masculine. We heal the patriarchy by becoming unapologetically feminine. And the feminine has patience. The feminine receives. The feminine is open. And so we have to get back in our hearts. And when you get in your hearts and you do this work, that's when you learn how to embody it. It's not about checking the boxes. And who knows? You could go like this and open it right here. And the only thing you need in this book is right here on these 3 pages. Nothing else is going to be. So just trust yourself. Don't follow the rules anymore.
Yes. Trust yourself. Don't follow the rules anymore. So good. Jennifer, what does the future look like for you for the medium experience?
I don't know, Crystal. I'm kind of, I'm in some classes right now, and I've really leaned into a lot of mentorship because so many people have approached me. And it used to be, do you coach, do you mentor, do you lead a mastermind? And I was like, I do not. No, I don't. And so I think because of how I download and how I help people with clarity readings and spiritual mentoring, that is probably going to transform into some sort of program where I can walk a lot of people through it. Because again, my passion is for you to return home to yourself. So I think that will be coming. And then, as you know, I love doing the spiritual retreats. So in September, I do have a couple spots left. It's called Je Vois. It's French for I see. And it's a 3-day, kind of 3.5-day retreat at the Vineyard in Palisade that Crystal mentioned, TWP Vineyard. And it's about awakening, aligning, and ascending. And so inner child work, retelling your story. Aligning is about getting in the body, knowing how to ground, being here. And then awaken is connecting with the spirit within and your spirit team to really get you a 360-degree view of your life. So je vois, you see.
I love that. And I told you I have a concert. I'm going to Brandy Carlisle. Otherwise, I would be at that retreat. And I can't wait to hear about the next one because this retreat sounds so amazing. Like the venue you picked, I feel like because I'm planning an in-person event, I'm really I'm learning a lot. And I feel like first off, the venue you pick is very important to the experience of the actual event, right? And you shared with me some of these activities and things that are going to be happening. And I'm like, this is life-changing for people who are going to this retreat, like life-changing in an insanely gorgeous venue and property. We'll link to this retreat if anybody's interested. Of course, it's very limited, so it could be sold out by the time you're checking this out. But if it's not, I feel like people should check it out and learn more about the retreat. We'll link to you two and all of these books recommended. But Jennifer, will you tell people how they can learn more about you and find you online?
Yes, I am on Instagram at The Medium Experience. I do enjoy that platform because I am a visual person. Aesthetic lights me up and I feel energy from beautiful images. And so I try to do my best to share that. And then also along with a lot of knowledge and journal prompts and anything that might assist you on your healing path. My website is www.themediumexperience.com. And there you can book a reading. I just have readings right now, but when this releases, I think I might have some more offerings. And then I think that is it.
I love it.
Podcast. I launched my podcast. Oh my gosh, this is so funny that I would forget to say that. The Medium Experience podcast, I'm pretty sure I'm on all platforms. I had to hire a guy because one of my biggest hangups is I'm not tech oriented and I break everything that is tech. So he said I'm on all platforms, whatever that means. But I just get on there. One episode a week, I talk about anything that could possibly benefit you in healing, growing, connecting to spirit. And then I do champagne channeling every Friday where I interview somebody and kind of we do the same format as Crystal. And then I also do that live on Fridays on Instagram at 3:33 Mountain. And you can come on, ask questions. A lot of times I do spirit messages. So I really enjoy giving people some wisdom during those times.
Love it. So gotta follow on Instagram to get these prompts, stay connected, see beautiful things. And then if you're available on Friday, I haven't been able to attend one yet, but I watched some of your replays. I love that you share those replays. And then I can't wait to tune into the podcast. Congrats on that being launched. We will, again, link to all of this in the show notes. So check it out. Jennifer, one last cheers. This was such a great conversation.
Oh, I adore you.
I adore you. Thank you for sharing and just opening up. And again, everyone go check out and learn more about Jennifer. This is just like we barely scratched the surface. And thank you for your time. And everyone, we'll see you on the next CU. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right, let's keep this conversation going. Join me on Instagram. I'm at Crystal Uncorked. And I need to tell you, thank you so much for listening to this show. It truly means the world to me. If you're enjoying Crystal Uncorked, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Okay, I'll see you on the next CU. Cheers, friend.